This is RTT with Terry the Tiger.
Thank you, Pluto and friends, for joining me on another episode of Random Talk Time with Terry the Tiger, me, myself. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever time it is. And if it is morning for you and you're getting ready, don't forget about Cactus Chick Creations, where you create your own custom tees, starting between $15 to $18. Sweatshirts, $25. She does ship. She does home decors as well. Anything like that. Team names, all of that good stuff. Tote bags she does for $5. She does do kid and infant shirts as well for about $10. Look her up on Instagram at Cactus Chick Creations. She also has her link to etsyshop.com there as well. So, guys, this week I've been very busy, but I can tell you that I've had one of those random little bursts of energy this week, okay? Because right now I have an issue because I've been watching some movies, and I've been watching the seconds or the thirds of some of these movies, and I hate it. It is more of one of those, if you've ever seen, going on a random tangent here, if you've ever seen that episode of Family Guy where he becomes an anchor cast, and where he is talking about grinds my gear, if you don't, take a look.
You know what really grinds my gears? People in the 19th century. Why don't they get with the freaking program? It's called an automobile, folks. It's much faster than a horse. Oh. Well, it appears I've been fired. Well, as long as I'm no longer working here, let me tell you something. You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. Fuck you, Diane.
Diane. I just love that part. But what is really grinding my gear this week, more so than most stuff, like patience and calmness and just people being angry and all that other stuff, what is grinding my gear, like I said, watching these movies and they replace a beloved actor or actress, and now you have to picture that person as the person that you've been liking for the last 2-3 movies, a couple of these in seasons, TV shows, like you've seen them a couple of times, few appearances, you know them as that, and then they come back as somebody else and you're like, who the is that? That's all I'm saying. That is what grinds my gears. And so this week on Random Talk Time, I'm going to give you my list of actors or actresses that were replaced for whatever reasons. And I'm going to give you those reasons. And in my list, this is going to be a list of either, well, there was legitimate reasons behind it, but I'm just still sad to see that they were changed, or that I do notice. And in some cases, it's just going to be because they were not even born and they're just talking crap about the fact that they were changed and don't even know the reason why they were changed. So, number 1 on my list would be the voice character of Meg. Now, I really don't care that they changed Meg's voice in I think it was the second season, maybe the end of the second. Between, you start hearing a different voice in the second season towards the end, and then in the third season, you get Mila Kunis, who replaced originally was Gretchen Wiener. Or, sorry, she's known as Gretchen Wiener, but Lacey Chabert. I can't say her name right. If you don't remember who she is, in that movie Mean Girls.
I'm sorry that people are so jealous of me. But I can't help it that I'm popular.
Oh my god. Oh, jeez. Okay, walk it off. Walk it off.
Okay. That hurt.
And that is the voice of the original Meg in the first seasons and in the pilot episode. She does come back in another episode later on, way later on. I think it's in like 20th season or something. Like, I'm literally just thinking of this right now. She comes back and Meg is trying to play in the... she's been skiing in the Olympics. And she takes all the family out to the Olympics. And they're like, I didn't know you've been training for the Olympics. And then so they go back in past episodes where she's been training for the Olympics. And one of the competitors is a girl who sounds like Meg. And so they call her Old Meg. She also comes back again every now and then. I don't know if she fully came back or if they just redubbed the first episode. Because they do an episode where Brian and Stewie go back to the pilot. And they're listening in on everybody. And you hear her voice. And they make a comment about, oh, look, it's even the Old Meg. They make a comment about, oh, what an opportunity she missed out on. Because she chose to walk away from that role as Meg. Number 2 on my list would be Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Now, Richard Harris played Dumbledore in that movie, the first 2 movies. Then unfortunately he did pass away, and this is one of those movies I'm talking about where people don't know that he passed away, and so they criticize, and it's just really wrong to do that, but they don't know. He passed away, which is why they recast the role to Michael Gambon, who plays Albus Dumbledore from the 3rd movie up. So, you know, that's a replacement there, where again, that happened. You know, it's sad. But they had to do it to keep the franchise alive. Okay. The 3rd one would be, she's known as the Oracle in Matrix, Gloria Foster. Again, in this situation, Gloria Foster, towards the, right before the filming of the 3rd Matrix, passed away as well. So they replaced her with Mary Alice, and that is why you see a different Oracle in the Matrix 3, because she's passed away. So it's sad, but those first 3, you know, those ones are, it is what those ones are. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the first one. The last 2, those ones were deaths, and to keep something alive, you gotta keep on going. And in a way, both of those actresses, the actress and actor, still live on because they were loved and played a loved character and, you know, passed away. So, the next one I have an issue with is only because Supernatural is the show. Okay? And in this show, it's a main character. 2 brothers are the main characters, and of course you got a couple of characters who are known as demons and angels who come into the show, in and out of the show, and so they're also casted as main characters. So in the show, they come across a few demons, because obviously they're supernaturals and they're ghost hunters, and that's what they chase. They hunt down demons and they kill them. And in the show, they meet a demon that you end up liking, because one of the characters, Sam, ends up liking her. It's really weird in the show. Really great show. I do suggest watching it, because this doesn't make a big deal about it. It's just, it really grinds my gears, and I just really got a problem with it. But in Supernatural, we've got a character called Ruby. And she is played by Katie Cassidy. And you see her for a few seasons. I want to say we start to see her in maybe the third, could be wrong. But I know that you definitely see her in the fourth and fifth seasons. Again, later on as the new character, which I personally did not care to see that because we get introduced to her as Katie Cassidy, and she comes back as Genevieve Cortez. Me personally, like I said, don't care for the change, but the show did it because Katie Cassidy was filming in the show Harper's Island. Never seen it, don't really know anything about that. But that's why she refused to come back to the show. Just ended that phone call. My bad. Have my phone connected with my laptop, so whenever my phone rings, it actually rings on my laptop. So whenever I'm talking to somebody, I'm actually talking to them on my laptop. My phone literally could be in the kitchen or somewhere else, but I will be talking to you on my laptop. But yeah, so that's why Katie Cassidy ended up leaving and Genevieve Cortez ended up coming on. But she and Sam Winchester, or Jared Padalecki, the other main character, they actually end up dating, and in real life, for reals, end up getting married. And so if you actually look her up, she's on Google under Genevieve Padalecki, which is Jared Padalecki's last name, obviously. So that was number 4, a TV show. Number 5 for another TV show. Now this is coming from somebody who's watched the show like 25 years after the original show came out. And that is 90210 Beverly Hills, the original show. At the end of the 4th season, the character Shannon Doherty, she doesn't necessarily gets replaced. Like, they don't completely replace Shannon Doherty's character with a different Brenda Walsh. She gets taken out elsewhere. The show makes her character take a trip to France at the end of the season, and she's expected to return because there's some other stuff that's going on. So she's supposed to return, but when we come back at the beginning of the next season, they're like, "Oh, she loved it so much that she just decided to stay there." Ugh, great, okay. And so they bring in a friend of them when they were growing up, when kids, because the Walshes moved to Beverly Hills from Minnesota, and that's how the show starts, the original show. And so this is a friend from Minnesota. Her name is Tiffany Thasian. She's also the actress who played in Saved by the Bell back in the day. So, she was a big actress at the time, and, she was a likable character on that show, and she came into this show, and I'm not gonna lie, she starts off kind of, you just don't like it. At least I personally did not like that feel of the Brenda, and okay, now we've got her. I really didn't care for it. But more story goes on that apparently Shannon Doherty was not easy to get along with, and she was like a diva on the set and stuff like that. So better get rid of them, those types of actresses and actors. And those ones are pretty horrible. In fact, another one that is like that, and I was told it was like that, we would go with next, is Terrence Howard in the Iron Man movies. Now, if you don't remember, or if you haven't heard it in my last one, I've already talked about how this Iron Man movie was the first movie that was produced by the studios Marvel, or the Marvel Studios. And so they lowballed not necessarily lowballed, but because Robert Downey Jr. was coming off that drug binge, so they were taking a leap of faith with him. They didn't pay him as much as Terrence Howard. Apparently, Terrence Howard was the highest paid actor in the Iron Man movie, the first one. And apparently he was also a diva on the set, and it was hard to work with and stuff like that. So in the second movie, because in his contract that they were like, it was, hey, we are probably going to make another one, so if we do, you're going to be it, because you're going to be it in the first one. Well, when the second one came time, because how much of a diva he was and everything like that, they worked it around to where he necessarily wasn't going to be in the film as much, to where he deserved the amount of money that he got in the first one. So they kind of lowered it a little bit, and it was like, well, it's lowered because you're not in the film as much as you were, so it's just, you know, litigation, stuff like that. And so pretty much Don Cheadle comes in and replaces Terrence Howard as the best friend to Iron Man in the Iron Man movies, and eventually the Marvel movies and all of that. So James Rhodes, god dang it, couldn't think of it, James Rhodes. So, you know, that one actually worked out for the better. In my opinion, the next one, I really didn't care for the next change, but we've got the next change comes in the Twilight Saga. Rachel Lefevre. Rachel, sorry to anybody who takes offense. Rachel Lefevre. Can't say it really well. But if you could recall, she is the original Victoria that you see in the first and second movie. She's only shown small bits and pieces of those movies, but you still see her. And when you see somebody, like I said earlier, when you see somebody, you get used to that. You know them as that person. And so when they change them in the third one and they have a bigger role and you see more of them and they're taking revenge on what happened in the first one, to see somebody else taking revenge is just ugh. So Rachel gets replaced by Bryce Dallas Howard in the third one. And in my opinion, I just feel the acting was just way different. It was, everything about it was different. The Rachel character of Victoria, I felt like she gave that presence of like, I'm a bad, you know, I'm angry, and if she's angry, you don't see it, you know, but it's like, it's written on her face. She's not, like, emotionally, you could see that she's holding it together, and she's cool, and she's not gonna be angry. The other chick, to me, I feel like, when she's taking the anger out, and she's just like, 2 stages of I'm turning into the Hulk, but I'm a vampire, so I can't. And, like, attack. It's just, I don't know. To me, I just don't like that change. And that is just one of the many flaws to that last movie of the Twilight Saga. I just don't care for that change. Mostly at all. Now, number 8. Number 8 on my list, and this probably could be taken down further on the list, but I grew up watching this. This was the first movie that came out when I was like a kid that I remember truly watching on replay over and over and over again, because the Batman trilogies with Christian Bale, that's my Batman. And again, if you haven't listened to the superhero one, I say it there. That's my Batman. And so in the first movies, because that's the one I had for the longest time, and I watched it over and over and over again, to where I liked Katie Holmes as Rachel. Okay, and I get it. I've heard by other people that they like Maggie Gyllenhaal's acting in the follow-up movies. But me personally, or the follow-up movie, I didn't. I love this one right here, okay? Just right here, always.
You and I will be the best brother-sister team since Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm more off-putting.
No, I'm more off-putting.
I'm more unattractive to put in a lead role.
Well, I'm a bigger box office drag.
Kids, you're both just awful.
I love that scene. Anytime somebody talks about Jake Gyllenhaal or Maggie Gyllenhaal, or I see them in those movies, I think of that. Always. It just, to me, that's just hilarious, and I think that's very accurate. Although, I like Jake Gyllenhaal, but, yeah, I find that accurate. So, easy to say that I don't care for that change at all. And that's why this one is so high up on the list. Although there's lots of people who, again, I've said, liked her acting, to each their own. Next on the list, and to be quite honest with you guys, on the next two on this list, it's a toss-up and a tie between really not liking it and really just hating it. And I will tell you why. Okay. And I probably should have switched these two around, but I'm coming to it because I'm coming down to I like the actress and it was a personal issue, so it was a personal issue with me, so it's the highest on the list. But next one would be The Mummy. In The Mummy Return. No, the third. Sorry. Something about a tomb. I started watching some of it and I stopped when I couldn't just get past the fact that they replaced the wife. Rachel Weisz plays the Evelyn O'Connor in the first two movies, and she gets replaced in the third movie, which came out years after the first two, because she says that she felt the scenario wasn't right. Whatever that means, whether it was the story, her pay, or whatever. She said it wasn't right, and she gets replaced by Maria Bello. The movie itself, like I said, I actually never got through it just because I felt it was just so terrible. It was just so hard to believe. There had been years. The first Mummy came out in 99. This last Mummy came out in 98. It was like literally 9 years of Evelyn O'Connor being Rachel Weisz, and then all of a sudden, 1 year, Mariah Bello. And that movie ended up being like one of the worst movies, and a lot of people don't really like to include that one in the franchise movie, but it's a trilogy, The Mummy. It has Brendan Fraser, and it does have the son in the third one. Or no, it doesn't have the son. What am I talking about? But yeah, I mean, he's in there, but he's replaced too, but yeah. He's in that one. It was a disaster. Critics didn't care for it. And if you're finding out about it for the first time right now, well, there you go. It's because it was not that good. Now, the last one on this list is, again, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. Last one on the list is Halloween Town, or shall I say, Return to Halloween Town. Because when we return to Halloween Town, we don't return to Halloween Town with the original Murney Piper, who was originally played by Kimberly J. Brown. She gets replaced by Sarah Paxton after 3 movies: Halloween Town, Halloween Town 2, Culliver's Revenge, and Halloween Town High. 3 movies with the same person. And then in the 4th one, they try to bring it back with another person. No. So, apparently, Disney originally stated that Kimberly was busy and was filming other things, and that is the reason why she did not return to film Return to Halloween Town in 2006. However, Kimberly J. Brown has come out since Disney's release stating that that is actually false. She was available. She hadn't been working on any other projects. And that Disney did contact her to make the movie, but stopped. And so that's what happened. She wasn't in the movie. It sucks that that happened. I really liked her. Again, like I said, you just like somebody as a character just to see them in another movie, and it was just completely different. You have, I haven't seen that movie too often for obvious reason, but I want to say there's no Grandma. I don't think Grandma Aggie's in there. There's no little sister. There's no, I don't think the brother makes an appearance. I think just the mom might make an appearance. And of course, the other dude, the blonde-headed dude from the High School Musical and stuff, he returns. And it blows. It blows. So whenever Halloween comes around and I'm putting on Halloween Town, no, I will most likely watch all the way up to Halloween Town High and stop if I'm watching it on my own. But if it's on TV, I mean, obviously I'll just leave it on if there's nothing else on. But that's my list of movies / TV show that's changed a character, and in my opinion, some had to be, some sucked. I wish they didn't, but overall, this is my list of characters. 10 being the absolute worst one, with number 1 being the most least cared about. Thank you everybody for joining in. I hope you have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, night, whatever it is. Pluto, thank you for listening in, and I hope to see you all again. Thank you. Bye-bye.